Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be sharing with you something that is going to make attacking for you so much easier in FIFA 23. Now a lot of people try to really overcomplicate what you need to do in attacking in FIFA 23, and today we're going to be sharing with you something that's very important that you need to take away, and it is just going to clear everything up and make attacking for you so much easier. So as always, to show support, make sure that you hit the like button, make sure that you subscribe, but most importantly, make sure that you hit that notifications bell so that you know exactly when we release new videos. And the first thing we want to sort of cover is that you do not need meta. This is kind of like a big misconception with the vast majority of people when they play FIFA. You do not need to use the meta if you are not at the top level of FIFA. This right here is a great example. We've got this new Future Stars Mudryk that's just been released, and we've obviously got that Marvel hero Joe Cole in the game. And you can see when you look at the stats, Mudryk is a little bit faster, but the shooting's the same, the passing's the same, the dribbling is basically the same, the defending and physicals. It is basically the same card, but yet Mudryk is 1.25 mil and Joe Cole is 340k. The big difference is the fact that Mudryk has 5-star skill moves. And this is another thing, another little tangent that again, a lot of people tell you need. You do not need 5-star skill moves unless you were at the top level. We're talking, you know, you're a 20-0 pro, you're a pro player, you're in the elite division, maybe Division 1 even. But if you're someone that's just sat in sort of Division 5, Division 6, Division 4, Division 8, Division 7, whatever it may be, you don't need the super meta, broken game mechanics. You don't need the 5-star skill moves. All that you need to do is our 3 tips here, and these are going to help you simplify your attacking. So the first one is to keep it simple, and we've just kind of alluded it to there. Don't try and overcomplicate things. You don't need to abuse broken game mechanics. You don't need to abuse the meta because, again, you can win very easily against sort of Division 4, Division 5, Division 3 players. Anywhere from sort of Division 2 down to Division 10, you don't need to abuse meta. You don't need to abuse broken game mechanics. You can win games by just playing pass, keep ball, very limited skill moves. You don't need those super high-end things until you get to the top end of FIFA. This is a really good example to kind of demonstrate the point. So you've got one player and player B. You've got player A, player B. Player A knows how to just pass, cross, through ball. That's it. Just the basics. I know how to press the pass, I know how to cross, I know how to do a through ball. But player B knows how to do the different variations of a pass, the different variations of a cross, the different variations of a through ball. So when it comes to attacking, which one is going to have more success? Player B is going to have more success. And you say, well, how's that simple? Look at how many things you have to learn. But none of these things are complicated things to learn. Being able to do a driven ground pass, a lofted ground pass, a driven cross, a whipped cross, because there are certain moments in the game where certain things are useful. You might get into a situation where you need a whipped cross, you need a driven cross across the front post, because there's, you know, if you don't get that cross in immediately, the AI defender is going to get back in position, it's going to be able to intercept that ball. And then there's going to be times where you're going to see the back post is open, so you need a high cross, that L1 square cross to the back post to make sure that your guy gets the ball so it doesn't get intercepted by the AI. But none of these concepts are complicated. Knowing different types of passes and through balls and crosses is nothing advanced. We're not talking about advanced skill moves. We're not talking about knowing broken corner tactics, you know, or kickoff glitches. There's a few kickoff glitches that are in the game right now. Knowing those things, you don't need those things to get an edge when you're playing in Division 7. You just need to be able to do the basics, do the fundamentals. You get the fundamentals down, you'll have more success in the game. The second tip is to make sure that you play hard, but make sure that you play fast. And this is something that a lot of amateur players, or a lot of low skill players don't do. And we get this a lot when we play in draft. I play a lot of draft. I think it's the most fun game mode, in my opinion, to play. You get to play with some of the top end players you don't normally get to play with if you can't afford them, whatever. And you come up against a really wide variety of skill levels in draft. You come up against really bad players, you come up against average players, you come up against some decent players, and you come up against the occasional sweat when you obviously play in a final. For me personally, obviously get to pretty much a final of every draft, and sometimes when I do play against those top level players, I have to sweat it out. I have to obviously use those broken game mechanics. But regardless of which skill caliber of player I play, you have to remember to play quickly. And this is something that some people just have. It's all about reactions. You got to be able to react quickly. You got to be able to think ahead of what you're doing. You got to be able to play and think, right, rather than getting on the ball and thinking, where do I want to pass this? You've got to know where you've got to pass that ball. And that just comes through repetition, just through playing the game more, being able to spot situations. You get to kind of know what players make certain runs. And this is another sort of little bonus tip is why we say to people, don't change your team super often. Don't change your tactics super regularly, because when you play with a formation like we play with a 4-2-2 all the time, we know the runs. We know that formation inside and out. So we know when players make runs. We know what direction or what, when they make runs. All these things, you get to kind of know that formation inside and out. You know what triggers certain runs. And then you kind of are able to time those things a lot better. If you're changing formations constantly, players play differently in different formations. And if you're constantly changing formations, you're not able to kind of get a beat on your team. And therefore, you're not able to play quickly because you're kind of waiting on the ball too much. You're kind of waiting for things to happen. And that's what a lot of people do. So you've got to remember, especially when you're attacking, you have to play simply with the things we alluded to in the previous example, but also remember to play fast, because if you play slow, you're too easy to play against, you're too easy to read, and then you never get anywhere. And that's why a lot of people are stuck in those low divisions, because they aren't very good at making fast, quick decisions. So now, before we continue and get into that third tip, if you do want us to continue to make more videos like this one, then make sure that you hit that thumbs up button and make sure you comment below right now with any questions and thoughts on any other video topics you want us to cover going forwards. So let's move into that third tip. So moving into tip number 3, and this kind of builds on tip 1 and 2, and it is to be unpredictable. Now, a lot of people, when they attack, they attack the same way. For example, they go down the wing, they go down the byline, they look for a cutback. And eventually, if you do that, especially against the same opponent, and especially against a good opponent, if you do that against me after 10, 15, 20 minutes, I know what you're doing. I know what your game is. So I know whenever you go down the byline, I'm just going to look for that cutback. I'm just going to move my player into the passing lane. You have to be able to get into certain positions and have 3 or 4 different ways to attack. So if you get to that byline, sometimes you cut the ball back, sometimes you cross it, sometimes you just continue and you end up shooting. You have to have like a couple of different ways to be able to attack. A lot of people attack the same way and it becomes very, very predictable. And the one thing that you'll notice, all of these tips are kind of ramped up the higher up the divisions you get. People play quicker in Division 1 than they do in Division 5. People have more ways to attack in Division 1 than they do in Division 7. And it's a combination of those two things that allows people to be successful. And it's only when you get into the super high echelons, sort of elite division, when that's where you need that edge. That's where you need those super high-end players, those Team of the Year Messis, those prime Eusebios, those prime R9s, those top-end players. You don't necessarily need them in Division 5. You can win with bang average players. We play, like I said, we play in draft all the time. And we sometimes get some good drafts, sometimes get some shocking drafts with some terrible formations. But by doing these 3 things, by being unpredictable, by playing quickly and playing simply, we're able to beat 95% of the people we play against. And it's only if that sort of top 5%, when you play against those sweats, where you have to be able to turn it up to that next level. But it's very, very rare that you need that next level. And one of these things is being unpredictable. Having lots of different ways to attack makes it really difficult for our opponent to get a bead on us to know what we're doing. And that's what makes you a better attacker, because you're not predictable. You're not easy to read. And then you get able to create more chances because your opponent just backs off and doesn't know what the hell's coming. You just attack the same way all the time, you're obviously going to struggle because your opponent's going to be able to read what you're doing. And really, this is all attacking is. There's nothing else to it. Like we said before, there's very, very little more that you need to know. But you only need to know those things when you get into the elite division. This is what 95% of attacking is in the game. If you can do all of these things and just do them faster and better and quicker, that's all you need. You don't need anything else to be a good attacker. The rest of it is not really super relevant for the vast majority of us. Even for me, I don't really like to play in the elite division because you have to play a certain way. And if you don't want to play that certain way, that is completely fine. I choose not to. I like to play a football. I like to play football. I like to kind of just move around, have lots of possession and score some realistic goals with certain players. And you don't have to play that way if you don't want to. You don't have to play the sweaty way. So it's really important you master these 3 tips. I swear you will get better at attacking. That is all you need to do when it comes to attacking. So as we said earlier in the video, if you do want us to continue to make more videos like this one, then we do need your support. So make sure that you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you turn on that notifications bell. And if you do want to ask us any further questions, make sure you join our Discord. The link to that is down in the description. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.